Greetings of the day. Let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Chandrakala, working as an assistant professor, Department of Commerce, Kristu Jayanti College. So let me move on to the topic. So today I am here to talk about the topic called the total income. So total income is one of the topic which will comes under if you calculate the total income of an assessee. So let me go for the introduction. So what do you mean by total income? Then how we can calculate the total income of an assessee? So move on to the topic. So here we should know, like, first of all, how to calculate the GTI. So GTI is an aggregate of all the 5 heads of income. Let's say the income from salary, or income from business or profession, or income from the capital gain, or income from the house property, and income from the other sources. So if an assessee, if they have all the 5 heads of income, then all together is known as gross total income. So if in the gross total income, we have to deduct the deductions under section 80C to 80U, then we can arrive with the total income. So how to calculate the total income? Once we're done with the GTI, that is gross total income. Once gross total income is done, then we need to deduct the deduction under section 80C to 80U, which is a legal deductions which is given by the IT department to claim for all the assessees, whatever the deductions, wherever if they can get the claim, they can get a claim under section 80C to 80U, then they can arrive with the total income. So I will be discussing about like how to calculate the total income. For that we have a format. So as per the format, so it's like all the 5 heads of incomes we have. The first head of income is income from salary. So income from salary, it's applicable for all the salaried assessees or employees. For them, whatever the salary which they will get. For example, there we need to calculate like sections, section 17.1, 17.2 and 17.3. Now what is section 17.1? 17.1 will contains like all the basic salaries of an assessee. Then 17.2 we have a perquisites, and 17.3 we have an allowances. If you take the aggregate of all 17.1, 17.2 and 17.3, that will gives us the gross salary. Once we're done with the gross salary, then we need to deduction under section 16, 16.1, 16.2 and 16.3. If you deduct the deductions through the gross salary, then we can arrive with the income from salary. So that will be the first head of income of an assessee. Now next head of income we have in house property. So under the house property we have the different types of house properties. So there we have like LOP, that is let out property, SOP, self occupied property, then we have deemed to be let out property and deemed to be self occupied property. So there also we will be calculating, like for example if an assessee has like 4 or 5 houses together, how to calculate the taxable income through his house property which he has. So based on that, so we can calculate what will be the taxable amount of the house property for that particular assessee. So that will be your second head of income. Then we have third head of income, that is income from business as well as the professions. So income from business and the professions. So here we will be talking about like only the individual business calculations part, not like the company's calculations part, because this is an assessee's calculations total income. So assessee, they may have the either partnership firm or the sole proprietorship, but in case if we are calculating the total income of an assessee, we will be calculating only for the individual business income, not for the partnership firm. And in case if the assessee has any professionals like CAs or doctors or lawyers, so for them also we will be calculating what will be the taxable amount through his professions. So there again we will be having like certain formats which we need to be incorporated to calculate the taxable income from business as well as the professions. So if you take the total, then we will be arrived with the third head of income, that is income from business as well as the professions. Then we have fourth head of income, that is income from capital gain. So there again we will be derived with a different types of capital asset, that is there we have long term capital asset and we have a short term capital asset. So if an assessee sells the long term or the short term, whether the financial or non-financial asset, so through that whatever the income which they are generated in our previous year, that income will be calculated the taxable portion. That again we will be followed with a certain formats to calculate the short term capital gain as well as the long term capital gain. Once we done with the total, then there also we will be eligible to get the exemptions under section 54 to 54 GB. So each exemptions, what will be like, what types of the asset which they are transferring and what type of asset again they are doing the reinvestment. So based on that, the exemptions limit applicable for each exemption, that is from 54 to 54 GB, that we can get a claim either for the short term or as well as the long term capital asset. If you take the total, we can arrive with the fourth head of income, that is capital gain. Then at last we have a fifth head of income, that is income from other sources. So there also we will be calculating like different other sources of income if assessee if they get. So whether it's a taxable or it is exempted, that calculations we are doing based on what kind of or what types of different sources of income if he or she is getting through his previous years. If you take the total, then we are arriving with the gross total income, that is GTI. Once GTI is done, then we can claim the deduction under section 80C to 80U, that will comes under chapter 6A. So there also 80C to 80U, wherever we can get an exemptions, that exemptions is we can able to avail, so that our taxable income as well as the total income will come to a certain extent, that is can be minimized if you are availing all the deductions whatever the assessee they can able to claim. Once if you take the total of all this, then we are arrived with the total income. Now whatever the total income is there for an assessee in our previous year, that can be taxable in the relevant assessment year. Thank you for your patience listening. So next video I'll come up with a new topic. Thank you.